Hi. Hi everyone. My name is Ndiawar Diop. I'm a prison nurse working for California Department of Correction and Rehabilitation in the California Institution for Men in Chino prison for 12 years. I would like to share my story with all America. On June 4th, 2013, while conducting my duty as a prison nurse, I was assaulted by a white serial criminal who is serving life in prison, George Philpott. He used the syringe that we prepare for his own injection. He injected himself and then used the syringe to stab me and did it in my right index finger. I was then taken to US Health Work for treatment. After so many months of screening, blood work, and treatment, I was then able to return to work with no infection. Then 4.5 years later, in October 18, 2017, at 4 in the morning, I was approached by Special Agent Kevin Odom, who worked for California Department of Correction and Rehabilitation in the Office of Internal Affairs. He then approached me and told me that he's investigating the incident that happened in June 4th, 2013, because they believe that I committed a fraud. Because my supervisor wrote in a document that he showed me then, employee accidentally poked his right index finger with a dirty needle. I don't remember ever seeing that document, because when you look at that document, it doesn't have no name. My name doesn't figure on the documents. You can only see my supervisor, Joy Uchi, putting the date and signing it. But my name wasn't in there. This is the document Joy Uche, my supervisor at the California Institution for Men in Chino, wrote. He stated here, employee accidentally poked his right index finger with a dirty needle. She put the dates and then put her signature and her name credential, but where they supposed to have the patient's name, it's left empty. And correctional officer told me this is the document they give me because my supervisor told them that I told her that I accidentally poked myself, which I never did. I don't remember telling her that I hurt myself, and I have never told anybody that I hurt myself. Then, 3 months later, on January 12, 2018, Special Agent Kevin Odom came to work at 5 in the morning to show me a warrant that he was supposed to arrest warrant to took me to the Riverside jail so I can be facing a judge. He then showed me an arrest warrant with a falsified date because the incident happened in June 4th, 2013, but the arrest warrant that he wrote requesting for my arrest has a falsified date. This is the document Kevin Odom filled requesting me to be arrested. And when you look at here, he said on June 4th, 2014, Job reported an industrial injury. He falsified the date, and we don't know the reason why Officer Kevin Odom falsified this document that he was filing for an arrest warrant. Now, many of the people who look at the arrest warrant filed by Special Agent Kevin Odom think that he make a falsified document because he didn't want this case to fall into a status of limitation. And we're still asking ourselves, what was the reason why the officer falsified the date to move it 1 year forward from June 4th, 2013 to June 4th, 2014. Anyways, I still deny all the allegations, and after talking to a judge, I was released on my own recognizance. Then we went to trial. It's when we went to trial, the trial started in May 21st, 2019. That's when I really know that the prejudice that I have been hearing in the United States, the bias, the obstruction of justice are real. At trial, Deputy District Attorney Blaine Hopp was prosecuting this case, and the presiding judge was Timothy John Hollenhorst. Now, at the start of the trial, Deputy District Attorney Blaine Hopp introduced some motion of elimination not to use the inmate's criminal past, and those motion was granted. So I could not use the criminal past of a serial criminal who's been making crime since the 1970s. I was not even born. But also, the inmate has been having a lot of rules violation at the Chino prison. Also, the judge, Timothy J. Hollenhorst, forbid me from using those reports. He didn't allow me to use all those rule violations that the inmate did in prison. As you can see, this is the inmate, George Philpott, who is housed in California Institution for Men. There is so many rules violation, and many of them are serious, and he was charged as guilty, and many of them come from correctional officer who wrote him up, and some report also was from nurses who work in Chino prison. But the judge denied me calling this witness, because I intended to use this witness to show the character of the white criminal and how he was terrorizing the prison system, how he was terrorizing the staff. But the judge, Timothy J. Hollenhorst, said, I cannot use these people. He allowed me only to use one nurse who is from Africa, from Sierra Leone, which set the case to be Africa against America. And then whatever she said would be seen as if she was trying to defend me. That situation left me defenseless. I had to go through the trial without having to call those people who previously had problem with the same inmate that assaulted me and stabbed me on my right index finger with a dirty needle. Nevertheless, when the trial proceeded, they called the correctional officer on duty, who came and who heard the alarm sound, came, cuffed the inmate, and put him in the holding tank. When they called correctional officer Mark Escarcega, he gave the same version that I gave and the same version that the nurse that was inside the room when the assault happened. When they called the correctional officer Mark Escarcega, who was present during the incident, he gave a testimony that was really consistent with my version of what transpired. However, the court took a short recess. Then correctional officer Mark Escarcega was seen conferred with the assistant district attorney Blaine Hopp and the special agent Kevin Odden. And when the recess was over, he requested to change his testimony. And he was given the opportunity by the judge, Timothy J. Hollenhorst, to change his version. He then recanted completely his testimony and stated that his original testimony, although consistent with mine, was incorrect. And the problem is, How can a judge allow a sworn officer to come in less than 1 hour, say a version, and then was given the opportunity to change his version, just trying to incriminate the defendant? I was then found guilty of all charges, and these articles show up on the press where they said innocent prison nurse found guilty for workman's compensation fraud after prison guard changes his testimony. That's when the district attorney of Riverside reacted to put so many articles, try to justify my guilt by putting a version that was not even consistent with really what happened. They ignore exactly what all those court error and all those court document falsification made by the prosecutor just to win this case with the help of his ex-co-worker Timothy J. Hollenhorst. Then Nurse Tabut was given the opportunity to come testify because he was called by the prosecution, then was later dropped. When Nurse Tabut was called to testify, he was asked by Deputy District Attorney Blaine Hopp if he reviewed it, if he prepared his testimony. He then told the court that he received an email from District Attorney Blaine Hopp coaching him to say that this incident was an accident. And here is the email that Nurse Armstrong Tabut, who was the star witness, the nurse who was present when the inmate assaulted me. Inmate Tabut said he never made an interview with Special Agent Kevin Auden. And in this email, the District Attorney Blaine Hopp is telling him, recording him, reminding him that you had a conversation with Kevin Auden, and to remember that this incident was accidental and that I'm changing the version of it. Then when Nurse Tabut, who was present during the incident, told the court exactly the version that I previously said, and that Mark Escarcega, before he recanted his testimony, the first version that he said was all those three versions was the same. And then Nurse Armstrong Tabut said that he believed the inmate George Philpott intentionally jabbed me with the syringe and then poked my right index finger. At some point, my lawyer, a black lawyer, Zulu Ali, forgot to ask the judge if he may approach the witness to lay a foundation. He was then threatened by the judge to be tased because he said, "You almost get tased." How can a judge threaten to tase a black lawyer in a trial in front of a white dominant jury? This is the trial court where my lawyer at some point tried to go to approach the witness to lay a foundation. Then he said, "Let me show you what has been marked as People Exhibit number 12C. Then while he walking toward the witness, he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor, may I approach the witness?" The judge said, "You almost get tased." Now, while the trial is proceeding, at some point, this next chapter that I'm going to be talking about happens so many times. Anytime the Judge Timothy J. Hollenhorst, my defense attorney Zulu Ali, and the prosecutor Deputy District Attorney Blaine Hopp went sidebar to discuss some information outside of the jury presence, we had on the prosecution table Kevin Auden, the special agent who was investigating case. And he would, anytime they went sidebar, he would throw jokes and start communicating with the jury. and they all laughing and playing in front of the bailiff himself. And in so many occasions, I have my wife sitting behind me and my two kids, and anytime they go side by, I try to talk to my family to try to comfort them to stay strong, that everything is going to be fine. I was told by Robert Paul, the bailiff, not to communicate with my family. Meanwhile, Kevin Orden, sitting on the prosecution table, was having joke and laugh, talking to the jury in front of all of us. And I thought it was normal because I'm accused of fraud. I thought because the defendant is not allowed to communicate at all, and that he has the right to communicate with the jury. Then after I was found guilty, my lawyer introduced a motion and putting all those problems, all those judicial error problem, my lack of defense, forbidding me from using some witness who previously had problem with the inmate himself, for also the communication that the bailiff himself and Kevin Orden, they both wrote statement where they said, yes, they were communicating with the jury, but they were not talking about the case. And the instruction was not to communicate at all to the jury. And I think in a trial law, that's a 101. That's a no. You're not even supposed to communicate with the jury, because it's not talking about the case. It's building a relationship, is building familiarity, because that communication, that laughing, those jokes create over familiarity. And that's what we believe happened, and the trial was not sorted right. Now, when we introduced that motion, it was completely denied by Timothy J. Hollenhorst, because he said he believed his bailiff that they were not communicating to the jury about the case, and that's what mattered to him, so he denied all the case. He then sentenced me to 6 years and 6 months in county jail, and then sentenced me also to pay a restitution of $97,000 with a 10% interest to my employee for something not only I didn't do, but for something that was pending in the workman's comp court. Now, that amount, $97,000, as of today, reached $121,000. My lawyer then filed an appeal, and the appeal was pendent in the 4th District Appeal Court in Riverside for 18 months before they call us for an oral argument on March 3rd, 2021. And then when my lawyer went on the video conference, it was not like a physical presence, it was on video conference. My lawyer was told that he has only 15 minutes to lay his foundation to talk about the appeal and to talk about the whole case. With all those mistakes, with all those problems, with all those bias and obstruction of justice, he was given only 15 minutes to talk to the 3 judges. After he finished, 5 days later, that was March 3rd, 2021, on March 8th, an opinion was given by Associate Justice Art McKinster, who completely denied and affirmed all the contentions that we made. And when my appeal was denied, it was so confused to me, and I thought I was living in a third world country where there is no democracy and there is like something really weird going on, because I couldn't understand all these violations that they did, leaving me defenseless, allowing a correctional officer who intervened to catch an inmate after he assaulted a prison nurse was given the opportunity to completely recanted his first testimony that was really consistent with the version of the fact, and then also to have an officer sitting During a trial, communicating with the jury, I couldn't understand how an associate justice could ignore all those facts. That's when I decided to make some research to find out about Blaine Hopp, to find out about Art McKinster, and also to find out about Timothy J. Hollenhorst. Now, upon making some public research over the internet, we find out that Timothy J. Hollenhorst, before he was appointed as a judge in July 2018 by the Governor Jerry Brown, he worked for 14 years in the Riverside County District Attorney alongside with Blaine Hopp. Now, the question that was raised then is, if all this broken law and all these decisions that he took, was it just to help his ex-co-worker win this case? Research also shown that the Deputy District Attorney Blaine Hopp worked for the Riverside District Attorney since 2001, meaning from 2004 all the way to 2008, before Honorable Judge Timothy J. Hollenhorst was appointed as a judge. He worked 14 years with Blaine Hopp. That's when we decide also to make some research about the Associate Justice who wrote his opinion to reject the case. We find out Art McKinster is an Associate Justice who worked in the 4th District, Division 2 of the California Court of Appeal, which is the same place that we find out Timothy J. Hollenhorst's father, Thomas Hollenhorst, worked at the same place, an Associate Justice on the 4th District of Appeal, Division 2, the same place Art McKinster worked. And it shows that they work in the same division for 27 years. This is what raised the question that we just asked. We also find on change.org a petition to remove Justice Art McKinster online. And in that petition, it was said that Art McKinster is accused of discriminating against people of color, against LGBT, and against black people. You can find this. This petition is still there, and it has so many people who signed for it. This raised also suspicion. After discovering all these information, I strongly believe that this case wasn't sorted right. I really believe that there is bias, obstruction of justice, acquaintances going on, especially for people who work in the same place for 14 years, and also for people who is looking at this case, and they used to work for this judge died for 27 years. They used to work together for 27 years. This makes us raise some suspicion. And I can tell you, after this case, after I was found guilty, the nurse who testified and tell the truth and who was present when I was assaulted get fired by the California Department of Correction and Rehabilitation because he was working in California Institution for Women, CIW. He was then fired, and we still don't know the reason why he was fired. He told the judge that he was looking for protection because he knew if he tell the truth, he was going to be retaliated against. Today, I can tell everybody listening to me that I'm a law-abiding citizen. I've been living in the United States for 19 years. I don't remember having had any traffic tickets or any problem with the police or with justice. I always obey the law, and I always make myself available for my community by volunteering to teach even at the university for free French and Italian. And I did it in Riverside Community College, and I did it in UC Riverside, where I graduated with a bachelor's degree in political science and languages. Thank you for listening. I'm calling all these organizations, all the American people who believe in justice, impartiality, fairness, and the application of the law equally to be applied equally to all human beings. I'm calling to the Black Lives Movement. I'm calling to the Move On movements. I'm calling to all civil rights. I'm calling uh, to all the citizens of the United States and all the Riverside County residents to please sign this petition and share it so justice can prevail in this case. I thank you very much for your time. God bless you and God bless America.